And we're back for another episode. Going off of Kate's first interview, it became very clear that she's got so much more to say about ship life and how interesting that is to me. So we're going to do a part 2 with our lovely Kate to see what it's like to be a therapist on sea. Kate, starting with you again, for anybody who might have missed that episode, if you just kind of give us a quick overview of your career and when you went on the ships and what that sort of interview process was like.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm super excited to talk about the ships today because I feel like I've had such a good experience and I love talking about it. For those that don't know, I was on ships for nearly 5 years. I did 4 contracts. I've worked on a ship that was 300 guests, which is quite small, up to a ship with 1,000 guests, which is about medium size in ship world. Yeah.
1,000 guests is only medium.
Yeah, and then you've got the same amount, or more actually, in crew. I think it works out like there's, for every guest, there's a crew member or something like that.
That's wild.
Because, yeah, some of the Royal Caribbean ships, you can get up to like 8,000 guests, plus the crew. It's probably like 10,000 on board.
This must be...
Which is like insane.
This must be one mega bit of machinery to think about that and then to then put it on water. That's crazy.
It's like a
to
floating
me.
city. I've not been on one, so I don't even know what it would be like, but yeah. So then I worked on a yacht, and then I went back onto the ship that was about 1,000 passengers. I've done a few different positions on board. The first time I went, I was an INI therapist, which I can talk about. Then I went back as a facialist. Then I went back as a massage therapist, and then ended up switching back over to a facialist. And then I was a manager, and then went back as a facialist. So I've kind of done a bit of everything. So yeah, I feel like I've got a lot of experience to share and just to talk about
ship life
ship life.
And how that goes. And I've definitely got some burning questions for you as well, which last time didn't quite get the time for. So I'm excited to get started on this one, and I'm really, really happy that we can talk about this in an environment that, you know, nothing is off limits and we can just go for it, really.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, going back to your first question, I know we touched on it last time about the interview process, and I said it was very straightforward, pretty easy, to be honest. So once you've had your interview, I then went for my training in London, and I was there for about 4 weeks. With ship life, you, in the spa world, you will specialise in one thing. So where back here, when we worked together, we would do everything like facials, nails, waxing, everything. But on the ships, you have to choose your position. So you can pick from being a massage therapist, facialist, nails and hair, or fitness. I chose to be a facialist just because I couldn't do massage all day, every day. And with the hours that you do on ship, I was just like, I can't do that.
Not for me, girl, not for me.
And I love facials, so I was like, that sounds like a dream, doing facials all day. I signed up for facialist. Luckily, I was already trained in the brand, which was Elemis, that we used on board. I'd already been trained in that in land, but I still had to go over the same training again. But I learned their body massage routine as well, because you'll always do the overflow of massage. So it was nice to have that qualification. I got chosen to do inothermy, which is a body electrical treatment. Not everyone always wants to do it because it's like, well, this isn't what I signed up for, but they try to push it as, oh, we only choose certain people, so you're lucky if you get chosen. But I don't know how much of that is just
getting you to do it.
Yeah.
But that's really good. That's really great that they sort of got you to do something else, because even though you'd gone in with sort of the passion of how much you love facials and things like that, it still gives you the variety within your day. I really like that.
Yes, I did the training for that, and it was really interesting actually. And again, you had to do presentations to the class about everything from like what causes cellulite, how to improve it, toxins in the body, poor circulation, and really going into depth, which I hadn't done before. Yeah, standing up and presenting yourself and doing a presentation for like half an hour, I feel like that again, that helped with me building my confidence as a therapist and improving my knowledge as well. Then you get chosen your ship, and they choose your first ship for you, and they go off your personality.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I gave them luxury standard vibes, obviously.
Absolutely. You wouldn't give them anything else.
So then I found out I was getting, if you do go on a luxury cruise line, you have to do luxury standards training. So I got put forward to that. A few days later, then, yeah, you all sit, I remember it, we all sat in a room, like the ones that got our ships. Because it's like you're waiting for ages, like, oh, when is it going to be like my turn to get my ship?
So you're like almost watching people, like other people get their ships before
there's
you
so
and
many
stuff.
people there. Like,
Oh
the
my
academy's
gosh.
big, and like some people have been there for ages, and like there's girls there from all over the world. Obviously their English has to be a certain standard as well. Some of the girls, they stay a bit longer just to get their English a bit more confident. So some of them have been there for weeks, so they're like still waiting, and it's like, when is it going to be my time?
Oh
Anyway,
my
and then
gosh.
you finally find out like when it's your time. And yeah, I remember being in this room, and then they come over and they like hand us all our piece of paper, and it says all of your details. And I just remember reading like the Bahamas. I was like, oh my God.
I'm going to the Bahamas.
Yeah. So, and I was just really happy that I didn't get Europe, because a lot of girls were like, I'm going like round, like they got P&O, and they're going like from Southampton to Southampton.
Oh no.
And we're all going to like Miami, all these places, and they've got Southampton.
You, my dear, are staying put.
Yeah.
You can see a little
you
bit.
can see the family.
Yeah. Wave as you go by. Oh, that's
So-
so nice. And that is giving me almost like the Maze Runner vibes, though, of when they're sort of ready to, the second
get
one.
their
where
moment.
they get their moment and they go
You're
in.
ready now, child.
Yeah, you can go in to the Scorch trials.
Yeah, and then I was on my first ship, and that was 300 passengers. My first contract was 9 months.
That's such a long time.
It is. But it did fly by, though.
I was
I got like halfway, and I was just like, oh, we're already halfway. And then I think I had a month where it went a bit slow, but then before you know it, it was like, oh, that's the end of the contract. And you're like so upset to leave. But just going back on that, I had a team of 6, so we were a really small team. 300 it is small. That is a small ship. So there was 6 of us, and the manager was a working manager, in the sense that whatever they chose, like nails, they would manage and do nails. They had to do both.
Oh, okay. I
So-
quite like that, actually.
Yeah. So I was the irony therapist, and I did any overflow of massage and facials. But because it was quite a quiet ship, I didn't do that much irony. So I did a bit of everything, which was nice.
Yeah. And a great way for you to kind of start, really, because I suppose that wasn't too much of a stark contrast for you.
Yeah, it was a nice team, like a good sized team. I wasn't chucked in a massive team and like straight in the deep end. But I do remember, like I said before, that my mindset was very like, I'm going to stick it out, and, I'm going to get through this contract. But I do remember when I first got there, and I think I was 2 weeks in, and I was a bit like, okay, like, what have you got yourself into? Like, I don't know if I can do
Really?
this. I know I wasn't going to quit, but I was a bit like,
Oh,
we're going,
strap in, because
Yeah.
it's going to be a long ride.
And to be fair, my first ever manager on board, she did say to me, because I only had her, I think, for 2 weeks, and then it was the end of her contract, and she was going on vacation, and we had a new manager come in. But before she left, she said to me, she was like, Kate, whatever you do not quit. And I'm so happy she said that to me, because and that was my mindset before I left. And her saying that was just that extra bit of like, yeah, no, she's right. Don't quit.
Don't quit.
And then after that, though, my new manager came. She was amazing, Mon Lee, one of the best managers I've had on board. It was nice because that first team, we were all pretty much first contractors.
Oh,
Like, it was
that's
our first
really
time,
nice.
except our manager. So she had the experience, but we're all kind of new, around similar ages, and we all got on. So I still talk to them. My first team, I still talk to all of them. Like, they're still such good friends of mine.
Oh,
Even though
that's
they're all
so
like halfway
nice.
across the world. But it was proper like a little family.
Definitely. There's just one thing before we get into it that I've always really wanted to speak to you about, because I remember you sending a picture almost and me thinking, what on earth are you doing? And I think it was like your training before you went on the ship or something. It was, I don't know, like it looked like survival training. Like I
Oh, sea
swear you said
survival.
something. Oh, it is like
It
survival.
is sea survival, yeah, training.
What on earth was that?
I had to do that for my second contract. You have to all do it at some point. Sometimes the training academy in London, they'll send you to the one in Isle of Wight, which is where I went. Or sometimes, depending on the cruise line, if they're really big ones, they can do it on the boat itself and train you. Like they've got enough space and the facilities for it. But yeah, so I went to Isle of Wight. I think the training was only like a week. And you have to do this if you're going to work on like ships or yachts. And yeah, it's just sea survival. So you do firefighting training. So you have to get all the gear on.
I think this is the picture that you sent me.
You have to wear the full-on kit, everything. And then they put you into teams, I think, of 5, I think we were. And they had these big empty, like, industrial ship, like, what are them containers? Like the metal.
Like oxygen things.
No, like, do you know just them big, like, warehouse ship metal containers?
Yeah.
Right.
Like cargo things.
Yeah. And it was 2 stories. Pitch black. Pitch black. The fire is upstairs. And you and your team.
A real fire?
Yeah, real fire they put on upstairs. You have to, with your team, in the pitch black, go through this. And there's like things in the way. You have to find the casualty of like the dead body, like mummy thing. Pick it up. And the child one, like there's a smaller one. Pick them both up and carry them and then put out the fire. And go upstairs and actually put out the fire. And you have to do it. Even if like you're claustrophobic. And when I tell you I couldn't see anything, I was holding on to the person for like 2 hours. All you can hear is the breathing when you've got the masks on.
No, this is like Fright Night times 10.
But actually, it wasn't that bad. And it was fun putting the fire out. I quite enjoyed it.
Fair.
We also did like sea survival with, you put your life jacket on and then the full suit where it will keep you completely dry, and jump into the sea off like a certain height. And then once you've jumped in, they have the life rafts and you have to get in a life raft. And you also have, so they have one that's upside down and you have to be able to like flip it over on your own. Because if you was at sea, in like the middle of the sea and it was upside down, you need to know how to flip it on your own. And then swim across and actually get into one. And can I just say, when I got into it, I did say to myself, I pray to God, I hope I'm never, ever in a situation where I have to be in one of these, because it is horrible.
Really?
Yeah, the thought of being stuck in one of them out in sea, no thanks.
Oh my gosh! But I suppose that's great that they do.
But
all
you
the
need
safety.
to do that. Yeah,
yeah,
need to know.
absolutely.
If you're going to work on a ship, we're there to protect the passengers, and if something did happen, we'd have to be the ones to
lead the way almost.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's like anything, isn't it? You know, most people say you were too busy worrying about the ship, I don't know, crashing, that you forgot about the ambulance that would run you over or something like that. So it's great that they did that for you to actually see what that would be like. Obviously your adrenaline and things would start pumping in that situation anyway, but I just wanted to touch on that for maybe anybody listening who wanted to get into it and wasn't sure what that entailed.
And especially like on your first ship, on my first contract, like I learned so much about ship life. And I know you have obviously your job that you're getting into, but you do have to learn a lot about the ship. We have boat drill like every cruise with the crew, where there will be a fake like fire alarm and we all have to pretend it's an emergency, and we have to go to our cabins, get our life jackets. We all have assigned positions on the ship. I've had a few different ones, but I'm normally like a stairway guide, so I'd be like in the stairs guiding people, you know, where they need to.
I think if I was ever in that situation, I'd want to see someone like you on the stairs.
Yeah,
I'd feel comforted by that.
You have like the second stage, which is like when you then go to like your life boat or life raft, and of course I always got put in the group that was the life raft, and I'm like, great,
thank you.
I never got the life boat.
You, my friend, are worthy of the raft and not the boat. So deal with it.
But it's like loads of little things, like you had to learn like all the code words for the ship and all these safety things, because sometimes we'd have in Miami, we would have, I can't remember what it's called now.
Like auditors.
Yeah, I forgot what they were called, but they were like, the American ones were really strict, and they would come on and they'd ask you all these questions and you needed to know the answers.
Oh my gosh. Let's say that first contract you did quit. What would that look like? Because, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume they pay for your flights out there and...
Yeah, so people quit all the time. It always happens. Like, they have so many, isn't like an international company, so many people are joining, and I think not enough people give it long enough. I think if you're going to do it, you've got to stay on board for at least 3 months, and then if you're really not happy, then go. But I feel like that's like in any job, you should stick it out for a little bit. I think at least 3 months before you make a decision.
Definitely.
But yeah, if you want to quit, you can quit at any point, and you just have to pay for your flight home.
Okay.
But they pay for your flight out there for your first contract, and then if you stay, obviously they pay for your flight home, and then after your first contract, you then have to pay to fly out to wherever you're joining the ship, and then they'll pay for you going home.
That's nice to know, because that was definitely something that I was curious about. In terms of, you know, maybe your first, I've heard you say embarkation?
Embarkation day.
Embarkation day. What did that look like?
So embarkation day is the day where early in the morning, all the previous guests will get off the ship, and then we have a really quick turnaround of just like a few hours, maybe 3 hours, and then all the next guests to come in. So like it's a crazy morning, but spa we get to sleep in. We don't have to do anything, but like housekeeping, laundry, they're crazy doing the turnover. But for spa we don't start until like midday, once the new guests have come on and then they're a bit more settled. Oh my god, we used to have to, as spa, we used to have to help out on the gangway, which was like where the guests would come on. We had to wear like these ridiculously ugly outfits. They were so ugly. I'll have to show you a picture. But we just look like grandmas. Like, this isn't 6-star luxury.
Oh no.
But yeah, we'd give them like a hot towel, like to, you know, wash their face and their hands,
freshen up
yeah. The afternoon you'd be back in the spa, and then you'd just be like giving spa tours, like showing people around if they want to make any bookings. It's a chance for you to really promote yourself, especially as like your column is all commission, so you're trying to sell yourself to make yourself some business. So yeah, you're giving tour guides and telling them what you can do. You can show them your treatment room, show them what you provide.
Okay, so I suppose that is like running your own business in a way then, isn't it? You know, finding your clientele and working with that. So what would you say would make you different to maybe the therapist standing next to you? What would be a selling point there? How would you make yourself different to any others?
I think it's really important just to be really engaging, really positive, full of energy, really interested in, you know, what they have to say, listening to what they want to say, getting across your passion for what you do. That will have a really good effect. Being professional, getting hands-on, like, but me showing them the machine and asking all the relevant questions.
Okay. So I suppose it's time for you to take it away a little bit in terms of what a day in the life would look like for a ship therapist. Is that what you would call it? I mean, yeah, give us the rundown.
Like I said, I've done like different positions on the ship, but you'd always start at around 7:30. You'd start, but you have like a 2-minute commute, which I loved. If I start at 7:30, I would wake up at 7:15. My alarm would go off at 7:15.
I have no idea how you could do that.
That's how I got to by the end though. I was like that I could just wake up, my uniform would be there on the side ready, just wake up, quick shower, chuck on my uniform, whack on a bit of makeup,
and away you go.
That's it. Brush my teeth, go quickly grab something to eat on the way, because that's like a minute walk away.
Oh my gosh.
Another minute walk down to the lift and get the lift up and I'm at work. That I did love that how quickly I could get to work. That was the best bit.
That's amazing.
And then so I'd start at 7:30. You'd need to be in the spa. Then you've got half an hour to set up. First clients at 8, and you'd have your morning meeting, and then you'd have an hour lunch, an hour dinner, and then you'd finish anywhere between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m.
That is a long day.
It is long. It is.
That is so.
You do work long hours.
But I suppose you get the benefits from it, right? So obviously you were saying things are all on commission.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm never going to ask you how much you earned in your time when you was in a spa on sea. But what did that commission structure look like just for those who were maybe thinking about going into it?
I think it was about 20%. I'm sure
Okay.
it's about 20%, roughly. Because there was a few, like, obviously then you got retail, service, but it's around 20%. You can make a lot of money on ships. It just all depends on, obviously, what ship you get, what your clientele are. Like, I was lucky in the sense that I was on a luxury ship. People had money. I had Americans, which typically will tip a lot more and are very generous with their tipping. And I was lucky in the sense that most of the ships that as far as I was on, we were busy as well, and I could sell myself in that way. And also that some of them cruises were longer as well. Like we had a world cruise where some people were staying on for 3 months. So I actually got to see people for repeats, which was really nice. And again, that's where you can sell yourself and upsell yourself with your treatments. But yeah, I think it's definitely down to how hard you want to work for how much money
you're going to get out
Yeah.
of it. Okay, great. So
And
sorry,
you are
I
paid in
interrupted
dollars, and you don't have to pay tax.
Very
And
nice.
you getting your accommodation is sorted, and your food. I think you paid like a tiny percentage for that, but it was like nothing.
Yeah. And what was the food like? Was it edible?
Just about. I don't know. Ship food isn't amazing for
Okay.
crew.
Fair.
It's all right.
It's
Good days and bad days, There's a lot of rice.
Okay.
Rice is power, is what we would say. Rice is power.
Rice is power. Okay, I like it. So obviously you're building up your clientele, things like that. Let's say, for example, I'm sure it never happened to you, but you just can't sell a slot or something like that, and you're particularly more quiet
gaps,
than your
yeah.
team members. How would they help you along with that? Would you get penalised for that? Was there discipline there? What would that look like?
If you do have gaps, we'd have to take it in turns to be on reception. We didn't have a receptionist, or if it was really busy, then our manager would do it. But yeah, so you could put yourself on reception, but then that gives you the advantage of that. If you get any walk-ins, if the phone goes, you can try and sell yourself that way. I know some ships, I haven't worked on them, but I've heard that some of them, well, especially where you have so many massage therapists, depending on your retail, if you're doing really well with retail, then you'll be like first column. So if anyone calls up for a massage, it will go into your column first, and then once you're fully booked, then then like that column structure.
So almost like your hierarchy
Yeah.
in that sense. Okay.
And so then if you're not very good at retail, you wouldn't have much in your column. But I don't always feel like that's very fair, because then if you don't get anything in your column, then how are you going to retail? It is a bit difficult.
And you've led me on quite nicely to the next question, really, which is, for me, I've always been under the understanding that in order to be a great ship spa therapist, you need to be good at retail. I think you wouldn't mind me saying that when we worked together, retail was neither of our strong points. And that's not anything against you, but it's not something I think land therapists are particularly very good at. What happened, really?
Okay. Yeah, with ships, they definitely want more retail. They are pushing that more. But to be in fairness, they give you the training and they give you the time. Yeah, they train you better in retail, and it's not, oh, you just need to sell this. It's no, you're educating your guest, and you need to why this product is going to benefit their skin. And you need to educate them in even something as simple as I learned a diagram just to draw for a facial, and it was a really simple, really quick. If someone said to me, like, I've got dry skin, and I said, do you exfoliate? They said no. And I said, okay, well, let me draw you this diagram just to explain you how this can benefit you. And just simply saying, you've got 5 layers to your skin. That first layer is your dead skin cells. By removing the dead skin cells with the exfoliator, the dead skin cells are essentially acting as a barrier for your skin. So by removing that, the products that you're using will be able to penetrate better into your skin, deeper into your skin.
And give you the results that you're looking
yeah.
for. Okay, so I
And
think...
they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely. One major thing that you've said there is something I've never done for a guest, is draw them a diagram. What sort of turnaround time must you have had in order for you to do that?
Well, that's the thing, yeah. So we had so much more turnaround time, which I think is essential. So I know you said we worked long hours, but it wasn't back to back. It's not like you're rushed off your feet all the time. My facials are a 50-minute treatment. I had a 1 hour, 15-minute booking time. So the treatment's 50 minutes. So that gives me 25 minutes to do a consultation, get them on and off the bed if they need to go to the toilet, and then do aftercare. That is so good. I can't tell you how good that is.
Exactly. And I just think in terms of your conversion rates then, so because of that turnaround time, I'm going to say is obviously, you had great training and things like that, but your turnaround time allowed you to put that training into practice.
And I do think with selling, it's all in your consultation. It's all in your first impressions and consultation. By the end of that treatment, they all know if they want to buy something off you. If you're walking in at the end of the treatment trying to sell someone something, you're not getting the sale. They should already want it.
Yeah.
When you're walking back in. So I think that is really essential. And also where we worked before, like coming from that background, our turnaround time was 5 minutes, just to give everyone some context. Lucky. Yeah, 5 minutes if you're lucky. What if we need to go to the toilet as well?
Oh gosh.
It's and I mean, ridiculous.
Again, I'm glad I said this was no topic is off guard, because from that, I mean, I don't know about you, but how many water infections did you used to get because you were holding in your pee for so long?
When you're on a period, sorry, that was the worst day. I hated it.
It was horrible.
But yeah, can you imagine? You've got 5 minutes to get the guest out of the room and take them all the way back to reception, right?
Yeah.
Or you just take them out, right? Get back in, change the bed sheets, remake everything, set up for your next guest. If you need to, have a drink, go to the toilet, anything like that.
You've got to get that done there.
And then go get your next guest. And then again, you've got literally a minute to do a consultation. And what if they need to go to the toilet?
Just doesn't work. And I think
fair. And I think that's so unfair because they're paying a lot of money for their treatment.
And aftercare, I think consultation and aftercare is part of your role. As a therapist, it's not just about giving someone a treatment. It's about education. Let's be honest, it's different for you, you are a therapist. I could go to my friend who's never done a facial in their life and they'd pick it up, right? The difference is they're paying for your expertise and the training that we've done. I'm not saying we're all dermatologists, but we know a fair amount about the skin and we can help with those concerns.
Yeah.
I do think Land needs to take that a little bit more into consideration for sure. So in terms of your conversion rates, what would that look like when you look at your retail on land compared to your retail on sea? Was there a massive difference?
Yeah, I think over the course of my time at sea, I learned so much at retail. But again, they put all the tools in place. They gave you the training, they gave you the time. All of the managers I've worked with, they were always there. Like if you were struggling, you could go to your manager and be like, look, can you please help me? And a few of my managers in particular, they had been facialists. So they were amazing to help with me. And like my product knowledge on LMS, I really learned the ingredients, learned the benefits of every single ingredient. Little things like that all had a big impact on my retail. And it's pushed on you. And again, like we were saying before once about when you're actually put under pressure, you do grow more.
Oh, I definitely, just as a person, perform better when my back
And
is...
also, like, you know, when on land, I've never really, like, there's targets there, but no one's really pushing it.
Oh, God, no. If you don't
Whereas
reach your
on ships,
targets, it's not...
you know, we talk about it just as much as we talk about service. So,
Really?
yeah, it's just that was what's expected. And also, another thing is my clientele are different. They've got money. That
I
was another
suppose,
thing, you
yeah.
know? They wanted to listen to what I had to say, but they wanted to hear what my advice was. They were really interested in how they could improve their skin, taking that time to do it. Whereas I find, I don't know.
The whole dynamic is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so...
But even then, like, I'm telling them about a moisturiser that's $250 and they're not even batting an eyelid.
Whereas on land, I mean,
But where we had come from as well, that area, maybe if we was in London with a, you know, potentially in some places.
in some places, yeah. But again, I think looking at your clientele is massive, because in London, everybody's got a rocket up their arse in London. No one's got 5 minutes to sit there and listen to you about, you know, that moisturiser that's going to, you know, dent their pocket by £350. And it just doesn't make much sense for them unless you are giving them that education.
I heard a quote the other day and it was like, how to be rich, solve rich people's problems.
Well, it's very true though, isn't it? You know, I do believe you only get to a certain point in life by certain ways, and I think you hold on to that when they reach into their pocket, don't they? But again, I do think if you have got a little bit more disposable income, you will spend that on higher quality things, which ultimately you're not going to keep reaching into your pocket for the same thing. How many times have you, well, I mean, how many times has maybe the month been a little bit short and you've gone to your local drugstore and you've just bought a cheap thing to see you buy, which only sees you buy for about 2 weeks, because you got to keep reaching back into that pot. Whereas when it's a good month and you have got that sort of premium brand moisturizer, that lasts you the month and a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
You can see the difference, and it's the same old story. And I don't know if anybody ever told you this analogy of the cups of tea. Let's imagine we were going to make 10 cups of tea out of one tea bag. That first tea you make, it's going to be a lot stronger and a lot nicer than when you get to that last one, which is just water. And that's the same for your active ingredients. Your first press of an ingredient is going to be much stronger, whereas when they've higher grade ingredient from that first press of ingredients. But of course, your first press is going to cost you 10 times the price, because of it is what you're paying for. So maybe that plays a huge part in it as well.
But yeah, and with retail, I would like to do an episode about, I thought we could do one on retail and kind of just sharing any advice and tips that I have, because I feel like I have picked up some.
Absolutely.
But overall, like, our target was always 35% retail.
That's really good. That is really
high.
good. And I think...
And I wouldn't always hit that though, but sometimes I did tell you my best, because I remember it so well.
You're grinning from ear to ear and I can't wait to hear it.
I did 6,000 in service and 4,000 in retail.
Oh my gosh.
In a week.
That's so good.
That was my best. And I remember I printed off my receipt like of the week at the end, like that had it all. And I kept it.
I don't blame you. I would have kept that as well. I would have kept that as well. No, I think that's really good.
But that's not even like, there's some girls out there that would do that like every week and even more.
But and was that celebrated? Was that celebrated within your team? Did you feel supported throughout?
Yeah.
Right then.
No, like, yeah, I would say, yeah, we were celebrated, and it was nice actually that I really enjoyed, especially my first contract with that small team, when we would finish a cruise, especially when we was doing like 7-day cruises. So it's just like every week we'd have our end of team meeting. Like we do a port clean, like the big clean at the end of every cruise, and then have our end of cruise meeting, and like we'd celebrate if you hit your targets, and then we could all go like to the crew bar afterwards and like have a little party and like celebrate, and we know we've got embarkation the next day and we can sleep in. That was really, I just loved the lifestyle of it all. It was really fun.
Amazing. So again, you've led me on quite nicely to my next question, which was, tell me about the nightlife and what that would look like on ship, because I can't imagine eating, sleeping, working on one big thing that's in the middle of the ocean and have that dynamic and that balance. So what did that look like? Explain to me, please.
I would say overall, like ship lifestyle, it is crazy. I think, have you seen Below Deck?
I love Below
Oh
Deck.
my God, it's so true. When I was on a yacht, that is what yacht life is like. It's just so true. It's just drama, craziness, fun, like it's everything. But so the nightlife that you ask, yeah, so you have, depending on the ship, you will have everything that for crew they do a lot. So you have like our own eating area, we have our own crew bar, which is kind of like, yeah, just a bar basically. You had like outdoor areas like like the smoking area, but it was also like you'd have a little swimming pool.
Oh,
You definitely had a lot of area to go to. Like we weren't ever allowed to go in guest area because of the luxury ships. You weren't allowed to be seen in guest area, although the spa, and depending on your position, we were allowed to go to some of the bars. If we like dressed up really nicely, then you was allowed, and like you could go watch the shows, so that was really nice. So there was always like something to do. You could go to the cinema, there was lots to do. And even on the bigger ships, I have heard that they don't just have a crew bar, they have almost like a nightclub. Like it's like a nightclub for crew.
oh,
And
I
could
think
you
that's
imagine though, if
lovely.
there's like thousands of crew, like, it would be like going to a club. Like you wouldn't even know half of the crew because
No.
everyone's coming and going.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. But that is the awkward thing though with the crew. Like if you like go to the bar and say you got chatted up by a guy or something happened, like, or I don't know, it's a bit awkward when you're like drunk. And then the next day you're like sober,
you see each other,
and
you're like
walking down the corridor like you're
hi,
right.
friends.
That is the only thing though. Like if you don't like,
Well, you
someone,
can't escape
like, you can't
them.
escape them.
You can't
And
escape.
You will see them every day down that corridor.
Man overboard. Man overboard. So I suppose your living quarters, obviously I assume most people have seen Below Deck. The rooms are tiny.
Yeah, the cabins are tiny.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, the cabins are pretty small. I think maybe on some of the newer ships, they are getting better, like they are getting a bit more modern in a way, but they're always going to be small. But that never bothered me though, the size of the cabin.
I suppose you was never in there enough for it to bother you.
Yeah, you're only there in there to sleep. Like you're at work all day. When you finish work, you might be like hanging out with your mates somewhere, or like going to the bar
and just living your best life.
Yeah, or you're going out. Like you might be overnight in Miami. Like you're off the ship.
Yeah. Did you get to go off the ship? What was that all about?
You can get off the ship on your time off. That's completely fine. And if we were overnight somewhere, you can, once you finish work, like you can go out all night as well. Like there's no curfew when it's overnight because
it's overnight.
The ship's not going anywhere. So you could go out for a dinner, which was really nice. Like I remember the first contract, if we ever had an overnight, I think sometimes it worked out like towards the end of our cruise. So we'd finish our cruise and then we went out for like a team dinner in like Monaco or something.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's just insane. But yeah, so you can go out, and I was going to go back to what we said earlier with the times. So I used to get like 3 half days off. So you'd start at 2:30. So you wouldn't get a full day off. You'd get 3 half days off in a week. And then, but we had loads of incentives with our targets. So if you hit certain targets, you would get incentive time. So again, going back to if you work really hard, you do get benefits for it. Like you're going to get paid. You're gonna make more money. You're gonna get your incentive time, which then gives you extra time off, and you can take that when you want. So if I had a half day and I got 6 more hours of incentive, I could add it and have nearly a full day off. So then that gives you more freedom to go out in all these places
and explore.
Yeah. And it is cool, like especially when you are in Europe, like you do wake up in a different country every day. Like it's just insane.
That must be beautiful. What was your favourite contract? What was your favourite contract to start with?
Oh, that is really hard. Like I loved all of my contracts for like different reasons.
Okay.
Like my first contract was just a great one to like the people I met, the places I went. It was such a good first contract. I can't complain. My second contract, yeah, I decided I wanted to go and be a facialist completely for my second one. So that's when they offered me a bigger ship. So I took that and I went to a different cruise line. I really enjoyed that one as well. And then they transferred me to a yacht. I had a great time there as well. I just can't complain.
I like it. And I like that you've taken something from each individual contract. So obviously you made it to manager, which is amazing, and you should be really proud of yourself for that. What did that look like? How obviously were things the same on sea, or
I was, about 6 months into my contract for that second one. I'm a facialist on the big one. Someone from head office had come on board to do training and everything. And it was the day before she was leaving. And her and my manager pulled me aside and they were like, okay, we just need to have a word with you. And I was just like, okay. And they were like, so...
did you shit yourself at that point?
I was just a bit like, what's going on? Like, and then they told me, they're like, so a position's come up for the same cruise line. They have their own yacht, and we're gonna send you there to manage it, to cover someone's vacation for 3 months. You're going in like 5 days.
What?
And I was just like, what? I was like, no, but I'm happy here. I don't want to go. Like, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm fine. And then they were like, no, like, it's been decided. We think you'd be perfect for the role, and that's
off
it,
you
really.
go.
And that is the only thing, like, with this company, is like they can transfer you at any point,
and you've
it's
just
in your
got
contract.
To go.
Yeah, like that's just how it is. And I was just like, you do dread it though if it ever happens, but yeah, it happened, and it was just is what it is. And I was just like, okay. And then as soon as they left the room, I like just burst into tears, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't know if I did. I was just really sad to leave because I was really happy where I was there and the friends I'd made and everything like that. I thought, you know what, it's 3 months, it is what it is. This is going to be a cool experience.
And was it?
And yes, and then I left, like packed all my stuff and left like 5 days later and went to the yacht. It was really good. But yeah, so you asked me like how it was like for the managing role. So how it worked, I was manager of, it was just me. So I'm therapist and manager. But I loved it because I had like my own column, and I could decide how I wanted to run it. And I loved that freedom, having that power to
do what you want.
To do what I want. I did work really hard there.
I see the benefits.
Yeah, but I just felt like as well it was really good because I could start when I wanted and could finish when I want. And for me, I was like, I remember I said to the girl, because she was like, I think the previous girl would finish at like 6 or something. And I was like, or 5 or something. She wouldn't do that long hours. And I remember I said I'd go a bit longer. And then the girl looked at me like, are you sure? And I was like, I've just come from a massive ship where I would start at 7:30 and finish at like 9 p.m. Like,
I think I'll be all right.
This is amazing. And it was so good. Like if I had a gap, I could just go back to my column. I had my own phone where I could like check everything. And you know, if someone booked in, I'm like, yep, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
No problem.
Like, it was just, I loved it. And you can work alongside with the shore excursion for the tours. Every tour that went out with the ships, they would send someone along with them as an escort just to make sure that everything's okay. Like if there's any problems, you can report back, but you got a free tour. And on the bigger ships, it is harder to do that because so many people are applying. So to get the one that you want is quite hard, and you'd have to work with your time off, and we didn't always have as much time off. But this worked amazing. I worked alongside the manager of the tours, who was so lovely, she would just say to me, like, at the beginning of every cruise, she'd be like, so what tour do you want to do this week? Where we were, for the yacht, we was doing Greece, Croatia and Venice, and we just kept going
Oh.
like back to back. So if I missed one week, I'm like, oh, we'll be back here in like 2 weeks.
So I'll just do it then.
Yeah. So it was great. I did like wine tasting, I did a zip line, all these crazy things. I didn't pay for anything. Okay, I'm going to do it on tour with these guests, but they were all lovely. And on the yacht, they were a bit younger. They were like really fun.
Bit more.
And also, again, I could promote myself. I'm like, oh, I'm Kate. Like, I'm the spa therapist on board. Like, you know, you should come and see me.
Let's get this going. That's amazing. And it sounds like you've had the best experience and the best time.
And also, can I just say, my yacht had a submersible on it.
So for those who don't know what that is, what is
that?
That is me.
It's a bit like, I guess it's like a submarine, but
what?
It's a bit like a submarine in the sense that, you know, you fully submerge and you're in like this little
Cage, sort of like a hover thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I got to have a little ride in it. It was really cool.
I'm really envious. Out of all of the things you've said, that's what I want to do. No, I want to do it all, and I think that's amazing that you took that plunge. Okay, so have you got maybe a little bit of advice for anybody who is maybe on the lines of going, not too sure? Is there any sort of words of wisdom, words of encouragement that you would give to anybody out there thinking of doing this as a career?
Just go for it. Just apply for it now. If you're thinking about it, just do it. Don't even think twice. Because the amount of people that tell me, like, oh, I wish I'd done it, but I just never end up doing it. Danny's putting her hand up. Or even like when I went into college and I spoke to the girls about my experience not that long ago, all of them are like, oh, but I've got my boyfriend and, you know, I can't leave. I'm like, you're 18, like break up with your boyfriend and go live your life.
Go and live your life.
Like, I can't tell you how much ship life has made me so much better as a person. Like, it's the best thing I could have ever done for myself and my career. And I think the positive to me is it completely takes you out of your comfort zone. You learn so much about improving yourself as a therapist from all aspects of knowledge, confidence, service, retail. You're working with people from all over the world, so you'd have treatments. I've had a massage from a girl from the Philippines, China, you know, everywhere, and you learn little things that they've learned from back home, and you pick up all these different things. Again, you're working with people from all over the world, so you make friends with people from all over the world. You can respect people's cultures so much more. You're traveling the world, like you get to see so much of the world whilst making money and doing what you love. I just think it's the best, and you have so much fun.
Is there anything you would warn anybody about, or maybe say, warn anybody about, maybe something that you didn't quite like or anything like that?
I think, you know, it is hard work and you have to be prepared for that.
To work hard and play hard.
Yeah. And even some things like seasickness, like you never know how you're gonna be. And luckily I was fine. Like I was only seasick once. But again, I think a lot of it's just you do get your sea legs and you do just get used to it, and you never know unless you try.
Absolutely.
I do think with ship life, you know, it opens you up to so many different opportunities. Like even me going on a yacht, like I never would have thought that. Like you could then go down the yacht route. There's so many different ways you could go, and you're going to make new connections, meet new people. Like the amount of therapists that I know that have met someone like a client on the ship, and then they've then offered them a job, you know, come work for me on my yacht, or come and work for my company in Dubai, or, you know, there's so much connection out there that you can make. And I really liked that you had more freedom, and with having your columns, it gave you that independence.
Absolutely. I feel like overall you've had the best career and the most amazing time, which is amazing. And again, I'm so proud of you for doing that. So thank you for taking the time to really speak to me about this. And to everybody else out there, if you do have any more questions or anything that you'd like to ask Kate about her time on the ships, then please do get in touch with us. You can find us on Instagram. If you do follow us on Instagram, we will have our email on there as well for you to contact. We look forward to speaking with you, and we look forward to seeing you back on another episode of Confessions by a Beauty Therapist.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.